All right, hello everybody. We are here at the NeuroNautic Institute. We are here on the 23rd of July, and we have some great features here today. This should be a really fun night. Karen Hildebrand, Robert Gibbons, Jane Ormerod, and John Burroughs as our features. The features will go on first, then we'll have the open mic. We have a very full open mic today. So it's 3 minutes each if you're on the open. Welcome on Facebook Live. I hope you're all ready for a really nice, good evening. And I guess here we go. Let's start. We're going to start with a man I truly adore, a brother of mine, Robert Gibbons.
It's so good to be in your virtual company. I like to pay honor to my mother, Dorothy, to my father, Robert, to my grandmothers, Versi and Maddie, and to my grandfathers, Sammy and Jethro. I have a few poems to read tonight. It's so good to be back. The first poem is called Pandemic. Today, should I not just be like the rest? It should not be a crowd at the coffee shop or the bagel shop on Flatbush Avenue, but the morning hums of traffic and shoppers bop, and people are still silent in their ways. And there's more activity from the washer and dryer, from the socks that are twirling and they sing in harmonium. Instead, this Sabbath is segregated, and there are remnants of last night drunks, and the tree trunks have become a cigarette butt. But there is no rain yet, there's no sun yet. So call it just a day, call it the price to pay for living. And I know you have your own hymns that come from a place that make you feel comfortable, but this is not affordable. This is not rest. This place has yet to come so settled for the next hours. But let's be hopeful. You say let's be grateful. Let's make the gray and the lost pink of the horizon, just pencil it in the margins. Let's make our own hymns merge into unity. For Avante Aquendo. Your story is my story, one with horror and expectation. You walked out of school for the last time, and it's always an issue. The underground is a subway and transient byway. You, the artistic sounds garble 1,000 hallucinations and a nursery of fears, the bedlam of emotion. They found his bones near the Harlem River. Sorry. For Patrick Alford. I saw the police and the twist of Brooklyn made for television, for those that think it's not real, but it is. Forget that Patrick is missing with broken amber alerts and a milk carton face. When they take out the trash and throw his humanity down the chute, his life is still expected. For Trayvon Martin, you were not old enough to dream, just an explosion of manliness in a childhood frame, and we have no choice when our shroud incriminates, when our girth dominates. The loud body parts were massive, but you were built for war, and the sniper won. For Kevin Miller. And mama's greatest fear is to send that child out before dark. And I can't imagine a kitchen table, an empty space. For Miles Dotson. And Jesus will claim his body. He hangs like a tortured phrase, and the wages of sin is death, and the grave marker still reads, baby. for Michael Brown. His body will not afford the burial of a free land, but a concentration camp. Call Michael Holocaust, a wrought from separation on the other side of Monticello. He was unfree by the necessary clause, a reject of a system internal, his evidence too enormous to achieve an accession from its time capsule under a lynching bee or a mob violence, but not free, a trump of the trope till meaning forms. For Eric Gardner, what brought me here in this overworked ground is not revelation, not tribute, but consequence, not condolence, nor circumstantial, but permanence as they roll his body down through Brooklyn. I'll read a few more. For Anthony Burns, I am a body electric, the perplex and curve of a Manhattan street, and there are empty lots and shotgun houses, and I'm on notice with these strangleholds, the choke of a haze in this change. Call a retrial, refigure the jury, so it will go down in history equally. I think I have one more, Matthew. Thank you. Ida B. Wells received the Pulitzer Prize this year in May 4th, 2020. Of course, if you know Ida B. Wells, she was born in 1863. She was a suffragette, and she lived here in Brooklyn. So this tribute is to Ida B. Wells. And this final tribute today, thank you so much, is to Ida B. Wells. Ida B. Wells, a suffragette that reported on lynching. She is not referred to as an heirloom, nor a G. Ben curator of the folk art. She understood that the black box was dark for a reason. It's always harvesting sixth season below Mason-Dixon with Dixie cups and mint juleps and truancy. She did not understand that this was not Margaret Mitchell or a picture of a grandmother in silver pewter stone, but this remnant was not a pendant on a cameo to pin across her blouse, but it was a sign of a time of antebellum, a peculiar institution with bullwhips and runaways, and Harriet Tubman was a stowaway, and it was a quilt, scrap and cloth, but it was a mothball. And I smelled the tales of manumission, a pinch of liniment beneath her tongue. It was a song, it was a tobacco bag. It was sad and it was a dirge, the ditty and willing to be free. To see the drinking gourd, but she said her mother told her, just keep it pristine, condition, but there's division, demarcation and separation. The bag, the quilt bag, the mirth, tears are formed still from the carrier. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Robert. I miss you, man. I totally miss you so much. Can't wait to see you. Can't wait to hug you again. All right. Thank you for advertising my book, Robert. All right. Next, we have the really delightful, always elegant Karen Hildebrand.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Robert. I miss you too. I want to start with, I'm going to take us back into the before world. All of these poems were written a couple of years ago. This was published by George Wallace in the Long Islander News, called Outside Roys of Kauai, We Pose in Matching Flowered Shirts. A long stretch of grass led to a cliff above the Pacific. I can see it still. A herd of ponies, puny, frizzy manes, hunger and botulism. They rushed the fence. I've wanted to paint them, but I can never capture the flare of their nostrils, the way they stared, one wondrous eye at a time, haunches trembling, the snuffing, the clop of their restless hooves. So I picked a selection of poems from my book, Crossing Pleasure Avenue. It's been out for a couple of years now, but usually when I read some of the flashier poems, and I thought that I would pick a selection that is a little quieter for this venue. So I'm going to start with 3-hour train delay. Dusk lies across the Hudson like a bride's veil. Silky water, a rippling muscle of the groom's arm. She holds with one hand the train of her dress. Could be the river itself flowing outside the grimy rail car window where I wait. On the opposite shore, a gown swirls at the ankles of a solitary lighthouse. Everywhere I look, there is dancing. And this one is called Talking About the Heat, which we're still talking about the heat, even more so. But maybe you can remember, even before times, before we had Lyft and Uber, when you could look down 6th Avenue and see a virtual sea of yellow swarming uptown with taxis. Talking about the heat. Summer is for sale. 2 bunches for $10 at the corner bodega. Taxis on 6th Avenue are a field of marigolds. The AC thrums and stalls like an infestation of cicadas. Dusk rinses its stale mouth in the Hudson, and a rat collapses to fit a crack in the black stallion night. A miracle of fireflies. In Union Square, a mounted cop releases the reins, letting his steed go nose to nose with a wriggling Jack Russell Terrier. And this one, you know, it's kind of, you never know what's coming when you write certain poems, and I certainly didn't know. I use the word premonition in this poem, and I didn't know what was the premonition. It's called All In. Some say a sneeze is a small death. I prefer premonition. We say bless you to ward off evil, as if disaster can escape through the nose. An involuntary snort of insect wing or ash that flutters in the common air our lungs share 20 times per minute with each of us in this crowded room. Look around. That fellow on the C train stutters a sermon that, if you let your mind go, comes through clean as cotton. Consider this a song. Consider the cup you don't want to share. Its liquid will flow through me into you, through pipes, gullies, the rivers of our unstoppable dreams. Consider the force that guides the muddy tracks of your ambition down the stairs, the way you brush your teeth at night, but skip the floss, the way snowflakes drag the clouds to the ground and allow us to grind them under our boots. And here's one that I always thought was kind of weird, but maybe it's not so weird anymore. Standing in line to register for the moon. We've come straight from yoga on an icy path, wary of taking the fall that could land us squarely into old age. Once inside, we fuss with the hat, the mittens, the gummy wad of tissue that must be shifted from hands to armpits to pockets in order to slide change into our wallets. Puddles form at our feet and a stringy kid wields a mop. We stumble in the dark while thinking we should have asked for the senior discount after all. But really, how can an extra $2 possibly matter on the moon? The rustling of down jackets is as loud as the cicadas after 17 silent years, but dies off when George Clooney arrives, 3 stories tall on the screen. Clear green eyes, big teeth, creatively tousled hair. No one seems alarmed when we exit into startling light where a yellow school bus idles. Am I the only one who remembers that handsome devotee of Reverend Sun Young Moon? He invited me to a summer cookout, then tricked us all onto a bus to God knows where. Have I learned nothing? I think, as I hold out my hand like a schoolgirl at a dance, eager to say yes. The year of no men. It was the year we discovered compostable flatware. We carried eco-friendly utensils in our pockets. We were particularly fond of sporks. They came in handy during meetings when we needed to stab our own hands to keep from saying yes. That was the year we became no men. Estrogen reigned, so much so the market became saturated. We exceeded capacities of our bras and our shoelaces. The frequency of hysterectomies grew sharply in an attempt to manipulate demand. We looked forward to menopause to get some relief. We no longer wore cotton or ate strawberries. We braided our hair with obsolete shopping lists. One night, Whole Foods ran out of kale. A quiet panic ensued, and we understood this was the beginning of the collapse. We were greatly relieved the next day when it was all back. And I think I'll end with this one. For all of you who might be missing your celebrity red carpet fix, this is the red carpet for the low budget horror films that may be on your late night TV watching. It's called B-Movie Fashion on the Red Carpet. And I will say all of the titles in this are actual low budget horror films. B-Movie Fashion on the Red Carpet. Wasp women, their eyes shrouded in purple satin, translucent wings sprouting between their shoulders. Runaway daughters in pastel capris, shirt tails tied to frame their jailbait midriffs, next to hot rodders who make speed their creed. We wonder aloud whether men are from Mars. Certainly their big hats would suggest they have a lot on their minds. My favorite is Love-Hungry Monsters from Hell. Their khaki shirts as ripped as their abs. It's one disaster after another. 3 zombie teens wearing beaded off-the-shoulder gowns at 10 in the morning. Thank you.
That was great, Karen. Thank you so much. Next, we're going to have a guy coming out of Cleveland, Ohio. He is really fabulous. He shook me out of my New York complacency the first time I went to Cleveland and heard him read, I have to say. Sat me down on my ass and told me, no, there is really great poetry everywhere. So I would like to introduce the fabulous John Burroughs.
Thank you, Matthew. I don't think I can live up to that introduction, but it means a lot to me. It's really good to see so many of my New York friends and even some of my Ohio and Missouri friends. And I'm just so excited to be a part of this. Robert, you're awesome. Karen, fantastic. Really. But without further ado, I'll read you a few poems, and then I very much look forward to hearing Jane. These are all poems I've written since the last time I was in New York, which was, I forget, September. And I haven't written that much since then, but including one that I wrote today. So we'll see how it goes. I was inspired by John Hall last month when he read for you, and he read all new stuff. And I'm like, man, I wish I had the courage to do that. And well, I'm not going to read all new stuff, but it's relatively new, and at least some of it's newer. Flagging. After Autumn Field by C. Yun Chang. Leaves of grass wave their proud banners in conflicting directions, are bent by the broken. The body electric, selectively wounded, is broken by the bent, where lilacs never thrive. A once buoyant meadow is trampled by twilight, grows weary of the fall, bloodied by witless man. This is the one I wrote today. I found it hard since the pandemic began to write. Part of me feels like, anything I have to say, poetry overall just doesn't feel as important sometimes. I mean, I know many of you are writing very important work. I find it hard because I'm just so obsessed with everything that's going on around the world, and I feel helpless and don't know what to say and don't know what to do. And but anyway, this came out of that bit of frustration this morning. And the title is just a placeholder because I haven't come up with a good title yet. Suicidal. I am not ready to die yet. I am not ready to go gently into Dylan's good night while wannabe Blackwater thugs crush kinfolk for cash in Portland and maybe soon Cleveland. I am not ready to die before there is justice for Sandra Bland and Breonna Taylor. I am not ready to let go while white would-be masters and their whelps, so wary of wearing masks, seem rapt with delight at the thought of regurgitating yesterday's noose in their fight against Black Lives Mattering. Oh, the splattering. I am not ready to rest on my laurels, worthless as they may be, while there is work to do, and while not a word the president says is true. Is true. Believe me. I am not ready to watch my loved ones be ground down into the Cleveland blacktop by blackguards and black shirts issued forth from Washington by the liar, cheat, and blackheart in chief who believes the police force that killed 12-year-old Tamir Rice, the same Cleveland police force that shot 137 bullets into unarmed Timothy Russell and Melissa Williams, might need a little extra firepower to carry out their black work. I am not ready to die, friends, unless it is by your side in the fight for fairness, for right, and for equal justice. In November, I had a privilege of having a little residency in the mountains of North Carolina. And the only place to eat anywhere around there was a little diner with fantastic food called the Hillbilly Grill. I have mixed feelings about the hillbilly word because I was born in West Virginia. My family are proud hillbillies, and yet, sometimes they get a bad rap, and sometimes for good reason. The people in my family, or in my where I'm from, get a bad rap. But I wrote a couple of short poems that I want to read tonight, part of my Hillbilly Grill poems series. Food for thought. Waitress makes a mistake calculating change. Says, I don't know what I was thinking. Customer wearing the red Trump 2020 hat responds, don't be thinking. Don't be thinking. The second of the Hillbilly Grill poems. Faith without works is dead. Saw In God We Trust all the way across the back bumper of an Ashe County sheriff's car. Made me wonder why they need a sheriff. One of my heroes passed away last year, David Berman, from the band The Silver Jews, also a remarkable poet, tragically by suicide at age 53, which is the same age I am. And his death fucked me up a bit. But I wrote this poem inspired by what may be his most famous song, Random Rules. The title is Random Rules, after David Berman, 1967 to 2019. There is nothing worse or better than Purple Mountain's majesty or a Purple Mountain's tragedy. In 1984, I was traumatized by entering the Marine Corps and refusing to serve. It made me servile. Temper lie. Don't let your parents make you value killing over communism. In the Gulag, I wanted to be David Berman when I grew up, though I had not yet heard of him. By the time he shot himself, I had changed my mind. If there is a point to this life, I'm still out, lining it. Find the patterns. Fully embrace multidimensionality, whether or not it's plain to see. Don't let your parents make you value religion over reality. What you thought was a tragedy probably was. You can still find value in it, like religion. Semper Fidelis. In 1984, I fell in love with Purple Rain, and Laura Lynn fell out of love with me. Don't let your pastor convince you to break up with your Catholic crush. This poem has nothing and everything to do with its inspiration, like responses to a Rorschach test. Purple robes cannot confer holiness, though art can allude to them, and art is always holy. Imbibe life. Hold on. Let go. Embrace more than one medium. See life as an hallucination, with or without drugs. Realize the hallucination is real. In 1984, I was ill or well, depending on who you ask and when. Perhaps I still am. There is no other. Be friends and strangers with yourself simultaneously. American water will make you both. Thank you all so much. Thank you, Matthew, for having me. I have one more poem for you. And my first poem was kind of about out in the meadow and the earth and the world around us. And so now is my last poem. If you need a god, make it Earth. The psilocybic planet cries in surreal glam dialects. Phosphorescent trees and violet sand. I am that I am. Flame blue tent rocks stretch like secular minarets from which unprayers ring with no regard for clocks. I am that I am. The desert lives, the clouds sing, the all in all is glistening, while fool's gold extends into atmosphere, grasping vainly for an illusory savior, trampling the all in all with fear, and failing to hear the earth's hue mantra. I am that I am.
Yes, John, thank you so much. That was really, really fabulous, as always, as advertised. Thank you for joining us. Can't wait till we can cross distances again and share space again. Last feature coming up now is a good friend, someone I really love. Like all these features, I'm really blessed to have so many lovely people in my life. We have the fabulous Jane Ormerod.
Thank you. It's so nice to see so many faces here. I'm going to read 5 poems. First one is new. It's called Missing. Starring the way I arrived, the child, we appeared different, together turned topsy. Every boat it seemed was wrong, and the cold we suffered. Some of us have always been mothers, the inherited ceramic marigolds, papers and porters, cherubs at 50, clouds, chestnuts, the end of frog line, curtain nets, wells to wash and wish, then flush our dreams and slow our prejudice. We cannot always hold others to flame. Oh, so pretty, they cry. Oh, aren't we pretty, pretty, every morning, each and every pretty as junket, pinkest junket, pretty as Christmas discipline. Morning time 11s and futility is heavy. We are all still children, and we come and we go, gather beautiful, small, small, small as froglings. We are little, we are courage, we are small, we are the first muse. Oh, London, aren't we pretty? I am an American child, my brother, the reptilian woman. Ah, here is the dancing room, the 4's room, a little house with no bunny, the 3's room, the dining room. The cook said child, the cook said Whipsnade, Whitstable, the cook said Camber Sands, bunny, the cook said never touch pinkness, the cook said treat your passport as slipper. Bye-bye, child. Bye-bye, bye. Oh, London, we are household. We are chicken scraps, sharp as the year I was born, the middle of decade, an ocean and dog, such a tiny dog of a decade. You are the gift of fertility, the Christmas man said. And he rhymed Christmas with abortion and explained ignorance, lectured me on the BBC and the regality issues of the day, hailed me and called me Duchess, said my brother was American, but he saw my dress and thrust me to a title. I was a mother, and Duchess rhymed with whiskey when he saw my skirt and called the seasons, and people laughed because the mist is not always red, and the kisses he promises were just the BBC mispronunciation of junket. My favourite room has a coat hook. There is no record of my existence. I remain in the hole because they will look in the hole. I exist in this hole, and truth is smaller than motherland. Everyone will always look inside a hole. And my new mouth says yes. I am your mother wit, the wit of dust and core light, and it is my turn on the trampoline. Finally, yes, it is my time, my turn, my yester now. The cook, I say, is smokescreen. Watch me, Mother Lake. Watch me catch this future. Your grandfather describes a glacier. Back when the boys were dead, back when the circle was not yet drawn. Murder of question and single answer, murder of pinochle sky, cob nuts, ripe oranges, bolts, trapezes for artists. I grow restless beneath the colours of this moan. I am hairline cracked but fine. I fancy to touch the Pacific before breakfast, the famed zoological gardens before dinner and filthy coffee, the carpet gardens, English Channel, North Sea fly by. Murder each time they see a clock. Murder each time they fool you like turkey. A rarely used phone, simply the same as a sickening dog or the glass jaw of the damned. A new suit stuffed with thief jewelry, national headquarters of the international toy trade, the exasperation of murder and camera, trust, the why and the muscle of death, its hairstyling banter. Death is a choice between radio, vinyl, and the epitaxial. I am funny with thirst and earth. 1 minute past destinal. Our tick has reached talk. Back when the birds and the boys were dead, back when the circle was not yet drawn, back when the streets flew sudden. This is one of my favorites, The Stranger. The music capes at once to soundtrack hillside blessing, cleave or learning. Husbandry of sky. Some say we go, we spill, producing fledglings, tow trucks, the door opening to sound, irregularity, a roadside tavern, cloth of variable color, wit, to sell, to barter. He is traveling for health, a family portrait, snapdragon, blue jay, a birth of some importance. Are we nearby? This child game, gone game, the Gracker I recall. I travel for my health also. A door opening to the magnitude of word, irregularity of discussion. This, the best hotel in town. This frequency, this spit, spit, spit for luck across crude likeness. A whistle for some bursting wind, a wind-up toy from the closing down matriarchal store. I am okay. I am awakening. I am okay. I am okay. I mean I am in. I mean I am out. I am violent. I am diligent. I am lost. I am the best hotel in this crazy town. I am cloud sign. I am edge. I am scallop, a robin with a different breast, a beast of unburdened sherbet, a sure bet on the nose for trouble. I am in the best hotel with the best host. My hostel days remain behind me. This, Near distance, I discover light among black trees, a basketball inside the pool, fire appliances beside the rings. I smoke the space. Rings hit rings. The light is a hotel. This is light. I hear of malaria, a salad in two places, a child standing in the corner of the eye. There will always be another war, a new religious escapade, an updated excuse me type dance, a hidden strike, an abomination of a door, a miracle phoned in from the street, the jagged jig of relevance. My wife follows him to the photographers. I am following on the 47 bus. I am the wife and the he and the vehicle. I am the stranger. I am not the stranger. My wife is myself, and I hear of malaria. I can see the this in this. The sound door is irregular. I followed him to the best hotel in the second best district. The sound door is negative. I saw a light in the trees, a basketball in the pool, fire appliances beside the rings. I smoked the space, rings hit rings, my own risk compromised. A friend held the step ladder, but I ran to the woods like I was red. This, the heaviness of mountain design. There is no cream for a stranger. Gift wifed to the past, on business and in business. Any out-of-town buyers? Daily, they abandon suitcases in corners of post offices and diners, swap stories of bell towers. Some fall out of luck. They see I am the stranger. They say nothing. They bow, but that may not be for me. There is no cream for a stranger. They form the shape of a city as they leave. There is no cream for a stranger. The edges of dialogue buffered, 5 minutes to go backwards. My knees are clocks. I cannot differentiate this world and the one stapled to the door. How do you cope with restlessness? A man who buries a dog between these worlds, a fellow with the trapdoor ritual of innocence. We confuse army and the well they were drawn from, a man who sticks around and another who slips sheets through windows, a man who kills the dog, poisons the dog, says his name rhymes with do. I am overtired, an overtiredness. The dog is red, is a root, the wilt of struggle, the proof of the bell, the music capes to soundtrack sleep. Climbing the ladder with one arm, there is no escape, no random or no random chance. You are a fool, I hear. I'm traveling for my health also. Some say we go, we spill, produce a fledgling tow truck's antlers, split this cloth of variable wit. I am the listener, the sparse, the one who claims his height is not so great. The door opens to sound, irregularity. The sound opens to door, a sky without a brow, without diluvian, without space to place my traveling shoes. This thud of guilt. I withdraw the question. The bluebird carrying the letter O for yet another manifesto. The question neutral, not civilized. The question of unnecessary chore, yet again the inadequate frolic of mouth, this month of stink and sweat. Withdraw the day of poisons most hasty. Attempt to locate Tangiers on the map scratched in silicate. Choose a murder or suicide weapon by the whirl of whimsy. Broken birdcage, a root, some buttermilk, cuttlebone, pick one, everything works. The Pacific revealed as a lake, the Atlantic a changeling, the Mediterranean a seed on hold. Plump for dependency when given the chance. If not, roll again. This is no time for simple or deep contemplation of wilderness. The outside of the net or tent or cracked capsule or apparatus of time. And if we die of rabies, die of radish, does it matter? Does it matter how we dance to our sunsets, draw on flesh the outline of a sawmill, smile in denial as 10 birds chase through sick rooms, call the apple the Milky Way of the food chain? The river pitied to the edge of line, the line we were told was never ending, the line of calamity, fertility's vomiting, the line of dilemma, the second night of our lives when we were tiny and held, that one-dimensional baby night when we remained for the one briefest moment unconditionally loved. Thank you, thank you. One more. There seems to be a lot of death poems at this moment. This is an old one, so things never change. The terminus. Tomorrow I have planned to fall like cattle, lithium, to fall like sound, like plaid, boldness, success, the abattoir. Tough love kills nightly. Fucking blondes is no safer than fucking brunettes. Need a ghost? Then teach my grandmother how to suckle eggs. I am sick of kneeling, sick of swarming, sick of feeling, sick of learning. Tomorrow I have planned to fall like patent leather belfries, flash fires, wish bowls and bones and well. To fall like failure, fairground darkness. This is me, this loss. Should it matter why I lust the morgue? To fall on deaf ears, you must be standing. To desire, you need to lack. To fail, you tell me. You tell me about floods, voices, bull-raising dozers, confectionery, how to hammer objects into hardened soil. I'm sick of leaning, sick of crawling, sick of reeling, sick of calling. Tomorrow I've planned to fall like geese at Christmas, bedroom showgirls, sewage, light, truth, conversation. To fall like fingers, fun time, commemorative doubt. To fall a plan, an ending, an otherwise name. This is what I'm made of. This is what I try to leave. Tomorrow I have planned to fall like cattle, literature, success. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Wow, Jane, that's amazing. Fucking amazing. Loved it. Thank you so much. Usually I spend this moment to rant a little bit. And I know that's a really crowded open mic, so I'm not going to take up too much time. But for those of you worried about when fascism is coming, here it is. Sadly, it's no longer theoretical in America, and we all need to yell our asses off. I also wanted to read something. Today is Haile Selassie's birthday. And in 1963, Haile Selassie made a really powerful speech to the UN that Bob Marley adapted part of for his song War. And I've adapted Bob Marley's version a little bit. So we have an adaptation of Haile Selassie here. War. Until the philosophy which holds one race superior and another inferior is finally and permanently discredited and abandoned, everywhere is war. I say war. Until there are no longer first-class and second-class citizens of any nation. Until the color of a person's skin is of no more significance than the color of their eyes, I say war. Until basic human rights are equally guaranteed to all, this is war. Until that day, the dream of lasting peace, world citizenship, rule of international morality will remain but a fleeting illusion to be pursued but never attained. Now everywhere is war, war. Until the ignoble and unhappy regimes that hold people in subhuman bondage have been toppled, utterly destroyed. Everywhere is war, I say, war. War in the East, war in the west, war up north, war down south, war, rumors of war. And until that day, we will not know peace. When we fight, we find it necessary, and we know we shall win as we are confident in the victory of good over evil. Haile Selassie via Bob Marley. All right, on to the open. That's enough from me. Next, the lovely Francine Witt.
I'm going to read a flash fiction piece. It's called Taxi Ride. The meter starts, numbers twisting and ticking away, and it doesn't matter because numbers are a made-up thing, like love. The city outside whirs by, men hammering buildings together, baby carriages and store signs, all of it blurry and Monet. I'll put this painting in my head with the others. The cab driver is 55 or 80, a hug of gray hair around his head. I don't think much about cab drivers. I figure they like it that way. My mother, of course, is dying. The cab driver drives past the hospital. Wait, I tell him, I said St. Elizabeth's. I know, he says, switching off the meter. Let's go look at the river instead. I've heard of things like this, kidnappings, hijackings. 1 minute, my mother was asking if I wanted my eggs scrambled or fried. The cab driver's eyes in the rear view. Hospitals can wait a few minutes, he says. My daughter, he continues, she was only 5. When we get to the river, the slap of an autumn morning as we step out of the cab, all around us, the usual joggers, the seagulls climbing the sky. Those birds, he says, they have this sense of direction. It's built into their wings. We get back into the cab. We head to the hospital. I open the window and let in a whoosh of air, a sudden swoop underneath my arms. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next, we have Madeline Artenberg. Give it up for Madeline.
This is so nourishing. Thank you so much, everyone. And Matthew, thank you. I was a photojournalist for 8 years, and there's one poem I'm doing today, and it has a drop title. My eyes are tantalized by Colombian fruits with names like lulo and the taste of acrid tears. My ears are seared by tales of Black September. Thousands of slashed bodies bent the boughs, beggars, prostitutes, orphans. Traveling up the Andes, I keep my head down. Knock on the tin door of a family indigena. I've come to show them how to count, how to write their names. Their last teacher was struck down, sipping a cup of yerba buena, while preaching, it's not the sole purpose of the living to aspire to heaven, but first to conspire to live in peace.
Fabulous. Thank you so much. Next, we have Sarah Mingus.
I'm going to read a poem from my first book, Naked Toes. And I've never read this poem at an open mic event. I kind of snuck it in there, but I thought it was appropriate. Handcuffed in the county jail. Yes, you heard me. I was handcuffed in the county jail. My charge, failure to appear in court for a speeding ticket. A damn speeding ticket. I rub the soft flesh burned by the metal rings of my captivity. When the officer shoved me into the back of a cop car on Mother's Day. No, I'm not a suicide risk. No, I do not require immediate medical attention. Give me back my damn sweater. I have no intention of using it to hang myself. The cold air blasting from the vents, is seeping into my bones. Yes, I do need to pace back and forth, hoping to increase my body temperature. Yes, I am anxious. I am not a criminal. I don't belong in jail. Yes, I want to sleep. I was driving on the road for 3 hours before you pulled me over at 4 a.m. Yes, I do need some fruit. No, I don't eat sandwiches. Yes, you'll be sorry if I don't eat soon. Headache, nausea, I may puke. Irritable and angry when I don't get to eat. Handcuffed in the county jail. Thank you so much for letting me participate. Matt, it's great to meet you. Everyone sounded fantastic. Thank you again.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Sarah Mingus, everybody. Next, we have a man. He was supposed to perform live for me. I don't know if it was this month, last month, when we were still, allowed to see people in person. And he will be a feature on here if we don't get to see people, or if we do get to go back into the club soon, he will shortly feature for me there. But M.A. Dennis.
So I knew I wanted to read a poem from my forthcoming chapbook, Mistaken Identity Crisis, published by Nightside Press, but I didn't know which one. So I've actually been inspired. So first, Karen, when she said that she was going to do one of the less flashier poems, I said, okay, let me do one of the less flashier ones. And then Jane started off with a new one, and Sarah also did something new. So this helped me make my selection process. This is entitled Letter to Dictionary Editor. Dear Miriam, I'm writing to you because I believe you are more reasonable than Webster. Plus, I never cared for his television show. It felt derivative of Different Strokes. Wealthy white savior rescues underprivileged black boy. And Emmanuel Lewis nor Gary Coleman received NBC's full support after going off the air. Did you know poor Arnold Jackson passed away from conditions caused by financial troubles and declining health? He is survived by his brother Willis, his adoptive millionaire father, Mr. Philip Drummond, and his adoptive sister, Kimberly, who ran away with the housekeeper, Mrs. Garrett, to a show called The Facts of Life. But enough about classic 80s sitcoms. Let me get to the fact of the matter. Many people, particularly ultra-conservative family ties and values Bible Belt extremists, will be up in arms over my suggestion for your next unabridged edition. For your consideration, I suggest this worthy addition to the public lexicon. New shit. Slang, noun, writing that has been recently created and/or is being shared for the first time. A phrase shouted at open mics, usually preceding someone's performance of a piece that's never been heard before. Example, Lucille, the daughter of a poet, received detention for yelling "new shit" as a fellow student prepared to share his poetry writing assignment with the class. Should this linguistic submission be accepted, you'll need synonyms for your thesaurus. So I offer the following: exclusive excrement, fresh feces, hot off the presses poop. I wrote this on the way here defecation, and if offended by scatological wording, wet ink. Thank you.
Fabulous. Thank you so much. Thank you for participating. Keep coming back. And as I said, we'll work out a feature for you sometime soon for sure. All right, next we have another poet who I really don't know. She comes to me, I think, through John Burroughs, Sandra Feen. Sandra, you're up.
Great to be here, and to know me is to know I'm technologically inept. I understand from John that I have been sending all the comments to him. So all the other fine poets that read tonight, I will be messaging you on Facebook and telling you directly what I thought about your readings and seeing if you have books that I can purchase. I really enjoyed all of you tonight. I come from Columbus, Ohio, and I'm just going to read one tonight. This is titled Beyond Recognition. Pain owns your right arm since the pandemic began. You are grateful to be left-handed while your right elbow remains padlocked and your hand can't remember the shape of a fist. You continue trips to your chiropractor, navigate reduced motions of physical therapy, wait for MRI results, already quoted 2 predictions, chipped rotator cuff or frozen shoulder. Most probably frozen shoulder. You are told it can't really be explained. You pattern the same black mask here, make visits extra early en route to taking care of dad. You like this health sojourn, this business incognito. When exiting, a woman stops you, asks if you frequent a yoga place on North High, says she recognizes your eyes. You enter your childhood home, find dad slouched over, asleep in his recliner, surrounded by his books, his old published editorials, holding a picture of himself during his Otterbein graduation, and CNN ruptures from his TV in a volume so invasive Jesus would rethink his second coming. You wake him. He launches a Rolodex of stories his mind still puzzles and you nearly have memorized. He stops abruptly. Mom's been gone 3 years now. It's actually been 10 months, Dad, but you're right. It feels like 3 years. I ask him if he wants coffee with me in the backyard. He says he's already had plenty of sunshine when he was a kid. Well, then, do you want to take your shower bath? I'm tired of being a prisoner in my own home where you daughters crack the whip on me. And he tosses a sardonic grin, shakes his head. He doesn't want my help to stand, then shuffles into an hour bathroom rote, his 57th year of showers in this Columbus Ranch home. In his tiny office, I put his college photo back on a shelf, a makeshift shrine Mom made above his electric typewriter. On the typewriter carriage, I find a 3-line message. Please, God, help me to remember. Please, God, please, God, help me to doctor, remember things. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Please stay in touch with us. Come again, come again. Next, we have Patricia Carrigan.
New poem, new shit. Having a party. Anna had a good time grooving to Sam Cooke on the radio. Time traveled back to when she, a teenager, teased her hair, wore pencil skirts, twisted to 45s, put popcorn on the Formica table, drank Cokes from the Frigidaire, chatted to friends about Johnny, the bad boy from Glenwood Road. Her American dream resided in expectation. The princess wedding gown, the white picket fence around a Flatbush Victorian, the family genes to be passed on. No matter how hard she tried, Johnny left her for Sally. Other men kept their distance, and early menopause called her instead. Her wedding dress burned, her unborn kids buried, her Victorian house sold to developers. For a lifetime of work, a meager Social Security check, EBT benefits, and a cramped 1-bedroom apartment with her tabby, Jenny. A cracked mirror meant 7 more years of bad luck and further decline in her reflection. She lived in quarantine before it became mandatory, held on to her past in boxes, shopping bags, and 45s. The song ended and Anna felt dizzy. On her torn sofa, She thought about Johnny, Sally, and what transpired. With eyes still open, her head rested on the frayed throw pillow. Jenny tapped Anna's shoulder, sniffed under her nose and mouth, realized that she was not responding. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next, we have Thomas Fuculoro.
Good evening. I'm going to read two poems tonight. They're from this book, Piscataway Press published my 30 poems from April. So I'm going to read two of them now. If you're interested, DM me. The celebrity talk show host said, "God is a comedian." Then they ripped off their trademark skin mask and start attacking the audience. Then everyone's shadow devours them whole, except for the celebrity talk show host, as they devour the cameras, chairs, and start dining on the set. I am reminded of this one time where I heard someone say, "God is a criminal." And then they painted God's mugshot on a commercial stained glass, and God was at large, and God was on the run. They chased that motherfucker for 3 days. They found God on an open mic stage trying out some new material. All the teeth laughed, but the lips whispered, "God is an existential threat." But why can't God just be is? And then we can call it a day, because I don't know who or what God is, and I know I don't believe in anyone's perception. A comedian gets its wings. I'm just going to read one more short one. Thank you. This poem is called Guided Poetry System, or GPS. When you stick a rolled up map in your left arm, your right arm will unravel the trajectory. Paint by numbness the numbers, beating bright red inside, become a traffic light. Show when to go, when to stop, when to slow down before peeling into the intersection. When you hide a part of yourself, the rest of your body knows how to find you. Thank you. Thank you, Matthew. Thank you.
I neglected to mention, because I kind of rushed into this out of control this today. We do these readings normally when we are going live. We will be at the KGB Bar Red Room, and we do these readings also as a fundraiser in these hometowns and the Red Room, because they are so important to New York. So if you're watching this on Facebook, the information for how to contribute to KGB Bar is in the description of the event. If you're here on Zoom, I'll ask Lori to put the information in the chat. But if you can give, it would really be appreciated. They've done so much for us, and I just want to do for them as well. All right, next we have Nika Ray.
It's so great to be here. Thank you, Matthew, for putting this all together. And thank you to all the poets who are featured and read. I have two short ones from an upcoming collection coming out in the fall. If you know what's good for you, coming home with me will keep you out of heaven or late for your next Narcotics Anonymous meeting. His works are on the coffee table. I'll bring you milk and sugar, even though I know you want the spoon, the book of matches. I heard you qualifying. I had identification. You were going to be my first best friend without drugs, but I brought you home. The needle and the balloon, their dirty cotton, they were all waiting for you. Flight. If I could part ways with my flesh, would I be free of those memories that tricked me into hating my body? If I were weightless, could I lift off pavement, be a rocket to the moon? If I was a spacesuit, could I float away, be a balloon escaping into the sky, no one able to reach my string? If I could reassemble myself, attach my left leg where my right arm ought to be, would I land inside a Picasso? If I were hanging off a screw drilled into a pristine gallery wall, would I take comfort in being stared at? If you hadn't have touched me, would I have lived my life thinking every stranger saw the dirt on my face? If I had been alive in 1938, would I have been cast in Angels with Dirty Faces? If I was a Fragonard cherub, would joy be my bounty? If I was joyful, would his trespasses leave my thoughts alone? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Always a pleasure to hear you. Next, we have Megan Gruposo.
Thank you so much, Matthew. I just have one. It's not new. I am the fallen fruit of our industrial military complex. Overly ripe, waterlogged, no mind, no worry, fall in. This is how we do this, almighty. This, noble and honor. This, what respect looks like. This, what breaking looks like. From cascade, the rain shower, the ash shower, not bone spurs and 1 inch off kneecaps, the colorblind, the knock-kneed, the overly hyperextended, not your mind. This, your sword, your gun, your punch, your quietude. These arms are for firing upon, righteous, defending. It once was. It was once noble, but cloud and shadow filled, in so ignobled. We can only be so good. I am the fallen fruit of our military complex. I am with education paid for by countless life-lost bodies. The shell of a home, shell of a human, the lost in their eyes, and I here, knowing if it's not you, then me. If it's not you, then me. If it's not me, it has to be you, wonderful you, now blown apart you. I am the fallen fruit of your industrial military complex. You can't make me believe. Your tall buildings, drones, bombs, stealth missions, your romantic muscles and scary haircuts, your dicks on the table, in the dog bowl, your ridiculous outfits, your fit in or get out, fit in or be ridiculed. You would never understand, never understand, never. This bent knee, this disconnected heart, this longing for music, this longing for tears and rivets and floating tanks, that desire to destroy the world, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I am the fallen fruit of your war machine. I taste like fermenting. Thank you.
Thank you, Megan. Powerful, powerful stuff. All right, next we have Linda Kleinbum.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for being here. It's really great to see everybody. I have 2 short poems. This one was recently published in Red Fez. It's called Life Shut Down. Loneliness is wrapped around New York City. 5 weeks in isolation of sheltering in place. Your muscles are tight. You are grinding your teeth. All the bars and restaurants shut down. Scores of corned beef and green beer never made it to market. All the bars and restaurants shut down. 5 weeks since non-essential businesses shut down. My gym, the library, the church holy doors, all shuttered. All the bars and restaurants shut down. 5 weeks since group meetings were banned. My fellowship, my therapist, unable to meet. Healing love has shut down. We are told to stay home. What have you done? The earth is in bloom, pink flowers and trees. I seek comfort in tulip petals and dandelions. Photographing the earth's rebirth, tending to the garden. 5 weeks since my life has shut down. And this next one is called Viewfinder, and it's forthcoming in the Riverside Poets Anthology. Strolling in solitude, camera in hand, photographing nature to block out dread. Trees burst buds pink and white, trying to forget corona news, strolling in solitude. Crouching to capture daffodils bloom, Mother Nature calms my nerves, photographing nature to block out dread. Blue jay jeering calls me to attention, searching songbirds perched in trees, strolling in solitude. First bumblebee finds crocus nectar as earth begins to sing again, photographing nature to block out dread. Everyone is staying home. Quiet streets bring clean air, strolling in solitude, photographing nature to block out dread. Thank you, Matthew, for putting this together. And thank you, everybody. Good night.
Thank you so much. All right, we go from one Linda to another Linda. Next up is Linda Lerner.
Thank you, Matthew, for doing this. It's really nice to see and hear everyone. Forgot pasta I left cooking. The water having evaporated let out a burnt smell I didn't pick up. Busy trying to trap anger in metaphor that wouldn't hold. What I wished my friend's cat would do with his dying. A smell maybe like cremation, I thought later, a word I'd neutralized 2 years ago after I heard it was over and he was resting comfortably in my mind. My cat, his name is Sam, sniffs out what has spread from the stove into news of an actor's death from it. A friend's daughter in Texas tells me to be careful. And I know she's also thinking of it, but it's my cat sniffing loudly through my apartment who forces me to hear what I don't want to smell. It's like when you get used to something that becomes a word, you mask with a pronoun, so it isn't quite so there until suddenly, all too suddenly, it is. I have one more short poem. Can you hear me? Painting with sun, struck by the sight of people holding long poles, rollers at the end, dipped into what surely must have dripped down from the sun into buckets, wipe sweating foreheads, stare at color too bright for just paint, can't see the words it overshadows. People so old they can barely manage the poles, young kids struggling with something bigger than themselves, every color of the spectrum visible to a crowd transfixed by this joyous scene before the words they won't forget burst through the sun. And that has to do with a scene on Gerolman Street in Brooklyn. I came across people painting the Black Lives Matter across the street. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Good
you.
to hear and see you again. All right, next, out of Connecticut, we have Jerry Johnson.
Okay, cool. I'm actually in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Oh, good for you.
Supposed to be on break, but at the last minute, thank you, Matthew, for getting me in. At the last minute, I said, oh, Matthew's got something going on, so let me join and see what's going on. It's been great listening to everybody. Quickly, a piece I wrote. Poets should not write about politics. I've been told poets should not write about politics. Poets should write about daisies and harps. Poets should write about dandelion petals blown by the wind. Poets should write about bison grazing in a vale. Poets should write about toddlers playing with puppies. Poets should write about kittens chasing balls of string. Yet, I cannot ignore the worst of this world. The worst continue to lie, and they are believed. The worst sow discord and hatred, and they are loved. The worst murder and are granted clemency to live. The worst steal and are rewarded riches. The worst rape and are honored with nobility. Extinction threatens the bison. The daisies wither in early spring. The harp strings rot and fray. The dandelion fields are scorched by wildfires. The dolphins are poached. The kittens gaunt, emaciated. Starved toddlers in homeless streets wail. Yet I've been told poets should not write about politics. Poets should not write about innocent bloodshed. Poets should not write about social conflict. Poets should write about daisies and harps. Poets should write about dandelion petals blown by the wind. Poets should write about bison grazing in a vale. Poets should write about toddlers playing with puppies. Poets should write about kittens chasing balls of string. Yet I cannot ignore the worst of this world.
Thank you so much. All right, we have one last open micer. We're going to end out with a bang here with Big Mike.
You ain't got a nickname till Dragline here give you one. You had nothing, just like when you was coming at me that time. Sometimes nothing can be a real cool hand. Cool Hand Luke, that's your nickname. Cool Hand Luke. It's just me and the bums in Union Square Park these days of the great COVID-19 virus pandemic lockdown. The civilians are all too paranoid to come there, afraid of a novel coronavirus contagion. The scene has become hostile, left to their own devices. Derelicts have become surly, ill-tempered, even violent. The bum fights have proliferated to a twice-daily event. At the least, 2 adversarial camps have emerged. Young black homeless youth, nomads drifting in and out of the park in the winds of necessity. The other, the hardcore, older, mostly white, loose of group of crackheads, drunks, methadone addicts, and the ubiquitous tribe of the crusty kids, heavily tattooed, bodily pierced, and wearing long braids of white boy dreadlocks. The 2 warring camps face off on opposite sides of the great oak tree semicircle in the center of the park, eyeballing each other, hissing threats and routinely squaring off at each other, spoiling for a fight. When Tarzan, the 6'6" crackhead, one-time bodybuilder with green eyes, the flowing mane of Fabio with a toothless mouth, ruled the hobo jungle of Union Square, bum fights were held to a bare minimum. As the king of the homeless encampment, he arbitrated all domestic disputes. His word was law, the final court of appeal. But he is gone now, fled to greener pastures on the West Coast, perhaps the shores of Huntington Beach, California. And so, long simmering resentments have begun to boil over. I hobble inside the park at 15th Street, propel myself past the great oak tree semicircle with the 2 tribes facing each other off, watching their furious ferret eyes give me the once over from either side. Suddenly hear a feminine voice hailing me, "Hey there, masked man." I'm wearing my obligatory state-sanctioned face covering, a black Harley-Davidson Motorcycles logo bandana across my mouth and nose, supposedly to prevent the transmission of the COVID-19 virus. I realize she is calling out to me. It's Mama, the Hispanic transsexual queen of Union Square Park. I have a new nickname, Masked Man, bestowed upon me by the vagabond matriarch, the ruler of Union Square, like Dragline, played by George Kennedy, bestowed upon Paul Newman and Cool Hand Luke. Gather, gather, gather. Now you're one of us. Gather, gather, gather. Now you're one of us. The cuckoo, the pinhead, initiates the beautiful trapeze artist into the tribe of circus freaks before she marries the midget in Todd Browning's 1934 film Freaks. Gather, gather, gather. Now you're one of us. Gather, gather, gather. Now you're one of us. Gather, gather, gather. The chant echoed in the Ramones song Cretin Hop that becomes their theme. Gather, gather, gather. Big Mike has become one of them. The freak show of Union Square Park. I'm officially accepted because now I have a name. Masked Man. The end.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you so much. Thank you. Awesome. Come again, Mike. All right, everybody. I want to thank everyone here. If you're watching on Facebook, I just posted the link to come in if you wanted to the Zoom room now to talk to everyone. I'm going to shut down the feed to Facebook so people can say whatever they want without going out into the world. I just want to say again, like as Jerry was saying, these are times where poets have to speak about other things. I keep saying vote so I can get back to writing about fucking and loving and not about this shit. So please, let's, get the bastards out. Stay safe from COVID. Stay safe from fascists. Come again next month. We're going to have Cat George and Valerie Oistino and the legendary Gerd Stern and who knows who else. So please come back. That'll be the 4th Thursday in August. I love you all, and I will see you next month. Peace out.